Assalamu alaikum. I'm Abdul.
And I'm Miriam. Welcome to the Muhsiner podcast.
All right, so Muhsinair is from Muhsin and Millionaire. It's about our journey towards becoming people who live with ihsan and build wealth in faith, family, and impact. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Muhsinair podcast. This podcast episode is called Four Countries, Four Lessons, and Some Tips on Joy, Ambition, Discipline, and Community. So, life has taken us across four countries we've called home at different points, and each one has planted a seed in us. Alhamdulillah for that and for those experiences. These seeds keep growing quietly and they shape how we raise our children and how we define enough and how we imagine the kind of life we want to live and the legacy we want to leave behind. But you don't need to move across the world for these seeds to be planted. Your current environment is shaping you too. The people around you and the culture in the air all shape how you think, how you spend your time, attention, money, and even who you're becoming. So, today we're sharing the lessons we've learned that have shaped us and impacted the way we live, raise our children, and build with ihsan. We hope that something we share will get you reflecting on your own journey too.
Okay, so we'll start with Nigeria, which is all about joy and belonging. So, Nigeria is home. It's where we grew up with family, chaos, and of course, drama. Because is it even Nigeria without the drama? Nigeria is where people are extremely stressed yet determined, and where the system is broken, but the people are unbreakable. Nigeria may not be the easiest place to live in, but it's real and it's raw and it's alive with energy. Nigeria reminds us that joy does not wait for comfort or cameras. Joy is much deeper than that, and it shows up along with gratitude and perspective. Electricity might go out mid-meal for the fourth time in the same day, but electricity issues won't stop us from having a good time together. We just make the best of everything. The cost of living keeps rising, but people still share. Generosity is still normal, and hospitality is still the default. Basically, there's a lot of barakah. As one of our family drivers put it, now God, they help us for this country. Only God helps us in this country. Nigeria teaches us you don't need much to be happy. Laughter heals, and that when life gets hard, lean on faith and family and community. We haven't lived in Nigeria together as a family, but growing up there shaped both of us in meaningful ways. It's where we got our earliest sense of community, identity, and joy. And those seeds show up in how we raise our kids, handle pressure, and try hard to shift our perspective in hard times. We carry these lessons with us wherever we go. Nigeria may not be for the faint-hearted, but it's incredibly rich, just maybe not always in the ways that you'd imagine. Any
Okay.
thoughts on
Yeah.
Nigeria?
So I think it's important to say this, and you said it like we haven't lived in Nigeria as like adults essentially. We just visit. So we haven't had to pay rent or manage a household or things like that. And maybe that is kind of, coloring our perspective a little bit. So we have to keep that into we have to take that into account. But I think still a lot of what you said there holds. Although I know that you can definitely see things are getting much harder these days. People are complaining a lot more, and struggle is definitely real, and things are a lot worse than how they were in the past because even things like food, and just security sometimes. So, for example, I have a friend who I would consider like well-to-do. He has a very good job, lives in Abuja, the capital, inside the city, not on the outskirts. But even he has told me recently he has had to, like, they've had to change the brand of milk that they buy, or like, the type of meat that they buy and so on, just because with a family it's not sustainable. Even if you have the money now, it's not sustainable to just continue to spend that because, you have to you have to live within your means. So it's definitely real, and maybe we'll let our listeners who are in Nigeria and living in Nigeria and working in Nigeria kind of say more on this one because you have to admit, I've seen that it's gotten a little harder. Now, that being said, I have floated the idea of let's go live in Nigeria for a year or two. Alhamdulillah, we have the option to do that without well, that
Too much.
disrupting too much. I don't know if you'll agree with that statement.
I don't know. I think it's disrupting for me internally because um I mean traveling is nice, but moving is not. So going to Nigeria for 2 years seems like moving. It seems like it feels like another move. And somewhere in my head I feel like I'd rather travel, but I don't want to move. So I think short term, maybe 3 months. I've actually, wanted me and the kids at least to go to, somewhere like Kano and just live there. But everyone that I've said this to has kind of discouraged it just because of the same things that you've said. But khair, inshallah, let's see how things go. You know what's interesting with all of this is how when my siblings came to visit just a few weeks ago, something that sounded very normal to them was the phrase, the country is hard. The country is hard. Like they would just repeat that, again and again. And these are 14-year-olds, right? And so it's like, yeah, everyone just gets it. As you said, the struggle is so real, subhanAllah. But yeah, okay. And then let's keep going. Dubai, right? Dubai is
Yes.
the next one.
All right. So Dubai, ambition, but also anchoring. Dubai expanded our imagination as you'd expect. It made us dream bigger, faster, and even louder. We learned how to move fast, how to build, and how to solve problems. I worked in tech, so I joined a startup when I was in Dubai, and problems just became puzzles to solve, looking and with creative solutions. And that mindset has served me, especially again and again. Everywhere I work now, they're surprised by how calm I am when there's a problem. But in my mind, I'm like, this is not a problem. This is child's play. What we dealt with in Dubai, like that's a problem because you really could have like somebody just calling you because there's some shake or whatever, and then you have to just turn the whole world upside down to give them what they want. But yeah, definitely very good for kind of shaping you in that move fast, fast-paced environment, and it's the sky's the limit basically to what you can achieve. But Dubai also carries a subtle warning. Growth without any anchoring can drift into something else. It's easy to lose track of who you are when everything around you is about who you could become. Even though Dubai gave us ambition, it also reminded us to go and grow at our own pace, to regularly pause and ask ourselves if we're still heading in a direction that pleases Allah and if we're still us. If you would go, for example, to like downtown Dubai and Dubai Mall, and I have a friend who lives around there, and every time I go, it's just I keep telling him this is not real life because you're just living in a microcosm and it's like the rich and fancy and it's just a different world. And but at the same time, if you drive another 20 minutes or so, you can see people that are very down to earth. You could sit down and have a meal in the desert. We would go for a little camping in the desert in the winter and just sit by a fire and bring some meat and roast it with some friends and very casual, very nice. So you can find whatever you're looking for, but definitely the glitz and glam is there. All right, so if you're thinking about moving to Dubai, we have a few pieces of advice. Dubai can be very glitz and glam, but it can also quietly refine your priorities. If you're considering moving to Dubai, here's what we would say to you. Stay anchored in your faith. Your environment may be fast-paced, and depending on what part of the UAE you live, it could be very glamorous. Protect your inner life a lot. Keep company with friends that have similar values to you, and you will experience a life that is rich, not just in material wealth. Secondly, have firm family rhythms. Without firm rhythms, routines, or boundaries, the city itself will consume you. For example, it's very easy to work all the time and go out early, come back late, work over the weekends. That's very easy. Number three, be intentional about friendships. Seek people who remind you of your values, not just your goals. Don't be worried about keeping up with the neighbors. This is important. Live in the cheaper parts of town if you need to. It will help you in the long run. When we first got married, we lived in a quote unquote undesirable part of town. The part of town where people would literally laugh at you for living in. I'm not kidding. This is real. People still would laugh at you if you live in some places in Dubai today. But it gave us a stable and safe platform to build our lives. Now, this is a place where when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But people laugh at it because I think there's like a sewer plant or something not far away, and sometimes you get a brief whiff of the smell. But mostly, to be honest, it was just in people's minds. It was not a big deal. Because it's a whole community. There's a lot of people living there. But yeah. And then finally, just leverage the opportunities, but don't lose focus. Remember where you came from. This point may sound like, a wisdom thing, but it's true. There's an abundance of opportunities in Dubai and the Gulf in general, places like Qatar, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait. Lots of opportunities there, especially if you're looking to take the next step in your career to earn and learn. It's a great place for the hustle, and it's given us so much. We built our early lives there. So, any thoughts on Dubai? I know you
Yeah,
have
so
like a very tight group of friends in Dubai.
yeah, I think I had like we did, studies together and things, and I'm still in touch with them whenever I go visit, then I make sure to, spend time around them. But no, yeah, what you said about people laughing at you for living in a certain part of town and that being so true, I think I'm thinking about it from the perspective of raising children. I don't want to raise children in a place where it's so where do you live and what car do you drive? And I guess for kids, it's like, okay, what car does what car does your mom or your dad drive, that kind of thing. And yeah, you can definitely see that in Dubai. You can definitely see that even with little kids and their water bottles. I remember the Stanley that thing. I remember that being a thing, and so. I don't know, it's just the mindset, right? And that the thing about, the group of people that you find that is so important, right? Because yeah, like yeah, where you hang out and what they talk about and who your kids are hanging out with, all of these things, they literally make up your life, right? They make up your mindset, they make up so many things. And so yeah, those are important things to consider.
Yeah, talking about Dubai, there's the expat baby, expat child, what do they call it? It's a thing there. Like expats make a lot of money, right? They make a lot of money here. So obviously their kids also see a lot of money and luxury. They see maids, they see nannies, they see, expensive things. So the expat child, expat baby is a common term. They're brats. They don't respect anyone. They think they're on top of the world because their parents have a lot of money. And also like, it's also a stereotype, but like the typical disrespectful Emirati, teenager is also a thing. So, but at the same time, like we've met some really wholesome people, very down to earth people, very generous, very kind. But yeah, so it's a mixed bag, definitely.
Yeah, it really just, takes me back to the point that, you mentioned about being intentional about friendships. I feel even where you live, right? You don't want to live in a place where, I don't know, like half the kids are a certain class or something, because then what schools do they go to and what conversations do they have at the playground? yeah, your circle matters a lot in Dubai.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, like as I said, you work on like cutting edge technologies. So if you're looking to build your experience, build your expertise, and just, conquer like your career, like it's a good place to at least have some experience and some time there if, in terms of your work and your career. Okay. Okay, next up, Canada. So Canada taught us discipline. Moving to Canada from Dubai felt like exhaling in a strange way. We found Canada to be quiet and somewhat orderly. It's where we learned the beauty of steady progress, of building something slowly, of prioritizing what matters. There's humility in Canadian culture that we appreciate. You could be sitting next to a millionaire in a hoodie on the bus because no one is trying to outshine anyone. Even though there was a lot of hustle and that push to keep growing, the quiet we found in Canada gave us space to focus inward. Canada taught us to budget, save, file taxes. This is funny because we didn't file taxes in Nigeria and Dubai is zero tax. So literally the first time we filed taxes was in Canada. So it taught us to be financially literate, to plan long term and think generationally, to love nature. This is more of a me thing maybe than Mariam, but I think you also appreciate the views and the beauty.
Mm.
It taught us to disconnect from the noise, and it also taught us to strive for that classic North American excellence. If you're thinking about moving to Canada, Canada is a great place to live and build, but we'd say keep a few things in mind. So build your support system, that's number one, especially in the winter month. It gets lonely and cold. We were lucky enough to meet amazing Muslim and homeschooling families to spend time with. We went tobogganing. Yes, that's a word. It's when you kind of slide down a hill on a sled. In the summer, it would be just maybe on a grassy hill, but in the winter, it would be like on snow. We made countless snowmen in our yard, or at least we tried to, unsuccessfully. We went to parks. We took full advantage of the winter. My kids still talk about, just eating snow and, just playing around in the snow, snow angels. And, it was just a whole thing. On a snowy day, they would just put on their snow gear and go outside. That's a whole 3 hours. Our kids still miss the hills that they would slide down. We had a hill behind our house, and they would literally just take their sleds and walk back and slide down, walk up again, slide down. And yeah, again, that's another few hours just spent in the snow. Number two, take advantage of government services. There's a lot of support, especially for newcomers and entrepreneurs, from child support to childcare to medical services to training and courses. There's so much to be gained if you put the effort in to look. You could literally be getting thousands of dollars every month in support if you fit the criteria and you fill out the right forms. Number three, respect the seasons, literally and figuratively. Use the winters to reflect, reset, and slow down. Enjoy the unmatched beauty of the Canadian fall. I love Canadian fall. The autumn is my favorite season because it's not too hot, not too cold, and the leaves are, that amber yellow color, and it is just so beautiful. Enjoy gardening and lawn care in the summer. Again, this is more of a me thing. I love mowing the lawn and just taking care of the house in that way. And you can also complain about spring starting late, like a Canadian. Uh, and then number four is anchor your family in your own values. So just because the culture is very polite doesn't mean it shares your principles. Take the good and leave what doesn't align with you because it's very easy to go downtown and you'll just see a lot of things that, let's just say, are not the most Islamic things. And you will see that, your kids will see that. And again, their culture, that's what they believe. So it's important to have your own anchor.
Ask me what my favorite season is. No,
What
wait,
is your
what do you
favorite?
think? No, what do
I
you
don't
think my
know.
favorite?
Like, I don't know. Summers are hot. Summers are hotter than
No,
they.
summer is not my favorite, not my favorite
Okay, what's
season.
your favorite season?
Spring, spring is my favorite one.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I love spring because it just feels like life. It just feels like
Okay,
life
that's true.
after life after no life. And it's like so exciting and it's like so new and so fresh
Mm.
and amazing.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
everything you said just makes me think that yeah, not just Canada, but like I guess wherever you are, respect the seasons, anchor yourself and your family, your own values, take the good. Like, I think that mindset, yes, it's very much Canada, but then it also applies to us right now where we are. Like, and I guess anyone else who's listening, like it's a focus thing, right? It's a perspective thing, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, we definitely miss winter. Well, I don't know how much I miss winter. I definitely miss like just observing all of the things, all of the nature things, but not so much being being active in like the sledding and the going out when it's cold and I appreciate nature. I don't know about
Mhm.
everything else, but yeah.
Yeah, one thing maybe that we didn't mention here, especially in relation to Canada, for me, it gives, I think, people dignity. So it doesn't matter who it is, what their job is, they have some sort of dignity with them and respect. So they could be you know, cleaning the road literally. And actually, yeah, cleaning the road in winter is literally a very, very good gig. It's a very good contract because you would be paid, I think, upwards of $60, $70 an hour just for cleaning. I mean, obviously, you may not be just using a broom, you'll be using tools. In the winter, you're actually driving a car that kind of, pushes the snow to the side, but it's a really, really good gig. I remember if you have someone like a plumber come to your house, be sure you're paying them nothing less than $100 just to visit. And then their rate, everything else comes after. So it's $100 plus. I remember somebody came to fix a garage door, and we got to talking, and he has a house in the same neighborhood as me, right? So we had a relatively good house, but so even the handyman makes enough to live in the same neighborhood as you and owns his own house. So I found that really inspiring. Of course, that means, rates are higher for these types of jobs, and then that encourages you to also learn how to fix things around the house. So everybody has a toolbox, and you just learn to become handy because you can't afford to just shell out hundreds of dollars every time something breaks. In Dubai, if you just want a picture to be hung, you would call someone because it's very cheap and they'll come and do it for you, put a nail in the wall.
What you said about the plumber and how much you pay handyman reminded me of one time you had traveled because you're, the tools person, you're the one who does the things around the house. And I don't know, somehow it's just I have not yet figured out a lot of those things. But anyway, I was trying to change. I think it was a shower head. I was trying to surprise you because you had traveled and you were coming back the next day. And I think we wanted a new shower head, something like that. And so I asked on like a neighborhood group if there was a plumber, and someone came and I ended up paying them, I don't know how much, but something like close to 100 Canadian just for like 2 minutes of work. It was too hard. There was something that was stuck on the thing. And so it was very helpful to have him, do the thing. But then it was, yeah, it just, when you think about it, it's like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a double-sided thing, right? Because you pay people a lot, but that means they also get to live comfortably with what they're paid, right? So Actually, these days, being a plumber and a handyman in Canada is a gold mine because
Oh
apparently
yeah,
a lot of
AI, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because a lot of young people are not going into the trades. So yeah, there's actually a shortage of like handymen and plumbers and construction workers and things like that. So they literally can charge $100 and above per hour, and that's a lot.
Yeah. The talk around what I've heard about, handyman and the demand for that is that with AI and, other jobs that AI, like what are the five jobs that AI will not take, right? So one of them is like plumbing. I'm like, oh my God, that's
Mhm.
crazy. And so yeah, definitely there's that.
Yeah, which is wild because like in Nigeria, a plumber is like, not a respected thing and they
At
don't make
all,
that
yeah.
much. And so
Where they
imagine
live,
if,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. They probably don't they cannot afford to live in the houses they go to work on. So yeah, that is definitely a big difference. One other thing actually that I love about Canada, especially moving from Dubai to Canada. So the mosques and the masajid in Dubai, they really felt like you go there, you pray, you leave. That's what everyone does, right? You can go a little early, you can stay a little late, but everyone's just sitting and reading maybe the Quran or doing nawafil or something like that. But the masajid in Canada, it's like a community center. Like you go there and kids are running around, people are playing basketball. So my kids loved going to the masjid in Canada because their friends were there and nobody would ever stop them from running around. They would be doing some really wild things, but it's okay. In Dubai, if there's a kid crying, somebody starts shh, 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 it's like
Mhm.
I don't know what they're trying to
The
do, but
aunties, we call them the
yeah.
aunties.
But in Canada, like there would be bake sales, there would be a solar eclipse viewing at the masjid, and almost all masjid have basketball courts, and it was just a place to go to and just, hang out and belong. And, prayer was just one more thing you did at the masjid. And I just found that really amazing because if you go like on a Friday, for example, after a prayer, you would see different groups of friends. You would see, 5-year-olds have their friend group, they're talking and laughing. You would see 10-year-olds, you would see 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, you would see adults, of course. And of course, what that means is that's the future of the masjid, right? If you have young people there with their friends, that's already a future for the masjid. So I think that's amazing, and I don't think our kids have gotten over the fact that we left our masjid in Canada still. Like they still really, really miss that masjid because all their friends are there, and it was so amazing. Another thing actually is that you remember the Buy Nothing community? That was amazing,
Mhm.
right? So you have a
Yeah.
group in a Facebook group, and it's just a place where you can go and you can ask for things. And people who have maybe something they want to give away, they just go and post it on the group. So anything from a TV to groceries to
Shoes,
food that
everything.
you made too
Yeah.
much food, you have a shoe that's too small for you now, or it's too small for your kids, or even like you
Books.
cooked a
Yeah.
meal. Yeah, you cooked a meal and it's too much, and somebody will come and take it that night, and you bought groceries. In fact, there was a point even someone was at home because their child was sick and they couldn't go pick up groceries. And in the group, they asked, and somebody was just there to go pick up the groceries and bring it to them. This is such a, Islamic ethos of a neighborhood and a community, right? So, like Canada is rich in these types of things. Like people may not be wearing fancy clothes and it's not glamorous, but it is incredibly rich in values and like culture and it just builds you as a person and as a family, I think. Okay, enough about Canada. So let's move on.
Okay. So Malaysia, what we've learned or what we're learning in Malaysia is around community. Malaysia is the quiet surprise that we didn't know we needed. Malaysia is where strangers quickly feel like friends. It's where we hear the adhan from every direction. It's a huge plus since we moved to Malaysia from Canada. Malaysia is where the culture does not rush you because the default setting is actually just ease. We've met Muslim families from all over the world trying to live simply and intentionally and not just chase success. So we've met homeschoolers, digital nomads, location independent entrepreneurs, like just so many different people. Malaysia teaches us that there's barakah in community, that slowing down is a strength, that the simplest life can be the most spiritually rich, and that you can build a meaningful life without burning out. If you're thinking about moving to Malaysia, it is soft and strong at the same time. So, one thing to remember is choose your community wisely. There are bubbles within bubbles here. And so, find the ones that align the most with your values and your priorities. Also, use your time well because the ease of life can slowly drag you into just passive living. So, stay intentional, inshallah. Remember your why and stay focused. And then the third point is give back. Don't just take advantage of the peace, but contribute to it however you can. And finally, say yes to invites. The community here is often built over meals and salah. It's beautiful. We hardly did any cooking in Ramadan because our community masjid here hosted so many iftars and and those iftars were sponsored by the community, right? By the residents, which is another beautiful experience for our family, especially coming here from Canada.
Yeah, so we've not obviously been in Malaysia that long, so this is still, a work in progress, and we're still forming our opinions. But so far, so good. It's really beautiful, and the people are content. So I can't remember seeing people who don't like money, like Malaysians. They're just content. And alhamdulillah, the government and their environment, I think it makes it easy for them. So they're almost opposites of like Nigerians and Americans in a way, because like Nigerians and Americans like money, that everybody knows that one. So there's also a lot of people moving to Malaysia these days. So it's easy to kind of build your community with non-Malaysians if you like. So it's a bit of a trap. So for example, the building that we live has a lot of expats. So we almost have to consciously try to like meet the local Malaysians and hang out with them. Otherwise, it's easy to kind of just move Canada to Malaysia somehow. Okay, so what all this means for us and maybe for you too. Through our movement and all the lessons, we've come to see travel not just as movement across different land, but more as evolving. We haven't, quote unquote, arrived yet. We still don't know what's next for us. We find ourselves stumbling and navigating highs and lows often, but we keep trying to stay grounded in the only destination that really matters, a meeting with Allah. The places we've lived in give us direction. Nigeria grounds us in ways nowhere else does. Dubai challenges us to build with vision while remaining anchored. Canada teaches us to stay disciplined and hold on to our deen. And Malaysia reminds us to breathe, to smile, and to be grateful for this thing called life. So we leave you with these reflection questions. Number one, what is your current city or country teaching you? Number two, what seeds are being planted in this season of your life? Number three, what will you take with you when, not if, you leave? Please let us know in the comments. Your story might inspire us or someone else's journey. And do you have any final reflections before we end?
No, just the quote that says bloom where you're planted. I think that's really relevant, right? Because you may find yourself in different parts of the world. You may find yourself in the same place, but then just in different seasons of your own one life. And so this last reflection question of what will you take with you when, not if you leave is like, whoa, it's deep. And so, yeah, just day by day, keep on blooming wherever you're planted.
Yeah, and maybe just a final note is, this looking back might look all glamorous, but some of it was hard.
Some
Moving,
of it was
you know,
really hard. Oh God.
okay,
Some of it was really hard. Everybody has a different experience of the
mhm.
same
True, true.
situation.
But yeah, I mean, Alhamdulillah, I think I wouldn't say anything was really hard, but Alhamdulillah, there
I
was
would
ups and downs.
say, I would say.
Okay, all right then. But yes, definitely we're not doing this to kind of show off that we've been to so many countries or whatever. But yeah, there's just a lot to learn, and we hope that sharing this will help someone.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, a lot of it, even though I'm like saying things are really hard, a lot of it I just have to keep on reminding myself, and you remind me as well, to just look at it as an adventure. It's not the end of the world, like wherever we find ourselves. It's really a lot of it is about perspective, right? And so, yeah, keep on making dua, keep smiling, keep going one day at a time. And yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
From our family to yours, thank you for being here. This journey of ihsan is not one that we can take alone, so let's keep learning together, inshallah. If you enjoyed the podcast, please give it a rating and share it with your friends and family and anyone you know who might be interested.
Subscribe to the podcast. Join us at muhsinair.com to continue the conversation. Until then, may your days be full of barakah. Assalamu alaikum.